Following breaking news as we come on the air tonight, this time out of Springfield. One man is in the hospital after a shooting. Police say it happened just after 9 tonight in the area of Kenton and Burt Streets. We're told the victim was taken to Springfield Regional Medical Center. We're still working to learn more about his condition right now. The investigation is still going on, though, so we will update you as soon as we get any more information, both on air and online.
Some promising news out of Cincinnati tonight as we take a live look over the city's skyline. Health officials at UC Medical Center say Damar Hamlin is making remarkable improvement. That news coming days after the 24-year-old Buffalo Bill collapsed at Paycor Stadium during Monday night's game against the Bengals. Now, doctors saying Hamlin is still critically ill, but his neurological function is intact. They said it's fair to say if CPR or defibrillation on the field would have been delayed at all, this could have been a very different outcome. Hamlin is now awake and learning about all the support.
He expressed surprise that he had been, not with the world for 2 days. We've talked to him about all the support that's been given from Cincinnati, Buffalo, and really across the country for him and his family during this time.
Now, the doctor clarified Hamlin has been communicating in writing and not speaking as he still has a breathing tube in his system.
Well, the Buffalo Bills addressed the media for the first time since Hamlin collapsed. Quarterback Josh Allen and head coach Sean McDermott both got emotional when talking about the situation.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother.
It's amazing to know the impact that this has had on so many people.
Very emotional, and McDermott again moved to tears when thinking about Hamlin and when he learns that his community toy drive has now raised more than $7 million. Both McDermott and Allen thanked the first responders who rushed to Hamlin's aid. They say hearing the good news today about his condition is a huge help in getting focused for Sunday's game against the New England Patriots. Well, Christian Hauser is also following the positive news regarding Hamlin's recovery tonight and tells us about one of the first questions he supposedly asked when he woke up.
For the first time since Damar Hamlin was rushed here to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center Monday night, we're now hearing from the doctors treating him. They tell me he is able to move his arms and legs and even able to communicate using pen and paper.
Hamlin is sedated right now and on a breathing tube, but the hope is to wean him off as his lungs recover. He can't talk, but his first question he wrote down was, did the Bills win?
The answer is yes, Damar, you won. You've won the game of life. And that's probably the most important thing out of this.
As Hamlin improves, the question now becomes, what is the best outcome for him, and will he ever play football again?
The best is getting him to the way he was at 8 o'clock on Monday evening. Is completely neurologically intact, strong, good lung function, no cardiac dysfunction with his heart. The best outcome would be back to who he was before this all happened.
The medical team has also told Damar about the millions of dollars folks have donated to his GoFundMe to buy children's toys. Looks like when he gets out of here, he's going to have a lot of gifts to deliver. At the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, I'm Christian Hauser.
And reactions also flooding social media following the news from UC Medical Center. Lydia Bice been tracking it all on social media from our Now desk. She's here now. Lydia, what's being said about his recovery?
Well, Sauce Gardner, cornerback for the New York Jets, took to Twitter saying, "Thank you, God, for answering all our prayers." Robert Griffin III tweeted, "After all Damar Hamlin has been through, when he awoke, his worry was his teammates. If we have learned anything about Damar the last few days, it's that he puts others before himself. Now we will see the overflow of support he has gotten and get to change more lives because of it." Pitt Football, where Damar Hamlin played in college, posted to Twitter about Damar asking his doctors who won the game. Doctors told him that he won the game of life. Pitt Football said, "That's the Damar Hamlin we know." Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted saying that he is so inspired by Damar Hamlin being able to communicate in writing. He says that it moves his soul that as Damar is recovering, he is feeling all the love sent his way. We will continue to monitor social media reactions to Hamlin's recovery, and will continue to update you on air and online as we follow his recovery.
Lydia, thanks. The NFL making it official tonight. The game between the Bills and Bengals is not going to be resumed. They released a lengthy statement tonight detailing the reasoning and the different scenarios that could play out come playoff time. But first, for Week 18, the Bills are scheduled to play the Patriots Sunday, and the Bengals will play the Ravens. It's the final week of the NFL regular season. And we're going to continue to have coverage on this situation as it progresses, so be sure to head over to our website, Dayton247now.com, where you can find the latest news on Damar Hamlin's recovery.
Springfield police, they are searching for this man tonight after they say he prompted a 5.5-hour-long standoff this afternoon. 30-year-old Michael Colvin Jr. described as 6'7", about 200 pounds. Police say that Colvin's considered dangerous and has outstanding warrants. Several of them are for violent offenses. He's also wanted on a parole violation. Police say SWAT was called out to McRae Avenue around 10 this morning. This came after an argument late last night that escalated into violent threats. So SWAT surrounded that home for 5.5 hours before entering. However, once they got in there, they realized he was no longer there.
The SWAT team made entry to the house, checked the house, and learned that Colvin was not there. It is assumed that in between the time when the people called 911 and when the first officers arrived, that Colvin had left the house at that time.
So if you see him, the Springfield Police Division urges you to not take action on your own. You are urged to call 911 or police at 937-324-7680.
A live look now from outside the Capitol building tonight, as the new Congress has still yet to decide on a House Speaker tonight. The House voted to adjourn for the day around 8 this evening. Lawmakers voted 5 times today, but GOP leader Kevin McCarthy has not been able to secure the gavel still. After 3 days of voting, McCarthy has been defeated on all 11 ballots. He's been holding negotiations, though, to try and sway a group of far-right Republican holdouts. Some lawmakers spoke about the frustrations of this drawn-out process.
I believe for some members this is personal. It's just got to be personal. How long are we going to do this? Every day we sit here and the American people gave us the gavel. They're saying you're wasting time.
The vote has now dragged on longer than any other U.S. Congress since before the Civil War back in 1859. Lawmakers will return at noon tomorrow to give it another try.
All right, let's talk weather now. It was much more January-like today, to say the least. Is it going to continue that trend as we move forward here?
Yeah, staying pretty chilly. No more 60s in my 7-day forecast. Feeling much more like January. In fact, even a little bit warmer than what we typically see for this time of the year. Here's a look at what's going on right now, because we saw some light rain showers. Now we're tracking a few snow showers around the area. Let us know what you're seeing where you live. We are getting some returns on our radar up in Logan County and Bell Fountain, so some light snow and some flurries there. A little further to the south in the Dayton area, heading into Xenia, also have some light wintry precipitation. Maybe on the leading edge we have some rain, as temperatures are still hanging out in the upper 30s for us. 37 in Dayton, 32 up in Bell Fountain right now. So light snow showers persisting as we head into the evening. Again, we're colder right now compared to this time yesterday, eventually dropping down to 32. So cold wind is expected. Wind chills will be in the 20s. I'll have the rest of the week's forecast. Talk about that weekend coming up.
Natalie, thanks. At least 2 people are dead, including a child whose home was hit by a falling tree after a storm slammed into coastal California with hurricane-force winds and heavy rains. 90% of Californians remain under a flood watch. The powerful so-called atmospheric river caused downed trees, flooded roads, and mudslides. And according to the website Power Outage US, more than 105,000 customers in California are still in the dark. Utility crews attempted to work through the storm, but in some areas conditions were too dangerous.
I know Santa Cruz got impacted significantly. We had a lot of landslides and trees coming in, and so we had to pull our crews for safety of that area during the storm. We had to pull crews last night off Peninsula because of the winds. But right now everybody's on deck to do assessments and try to get to it.
Forecasters say California is expecting more rain and wind this weekend.
Well, the suspect in the University of Idaho quadruple murders making his first appearance in court in the state, and we're learning more about the case against him. Newly unsealed court documents show one of the surviving roommates saw a masked man dressed in black in the house the morning of the attack. The roommate told authorities that she opened her door around 4 a.m. after hearing crying when the man walked past her. Court documents also reveal the DNA of the murder suspect, Brian Koberger, was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene.
Count 3 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree.
Now, authorities say location data from Kohberger's cell phone showed that he went to the area of the victim's home at least a dozen times between late June and the night of the killings. Investigators have yet to release a possible motive or said whether they think Kohberger actually knew any of the victims. A preliminary hearing for Kohberger has been scheduled for a week from today.
Also, Utah police say the 8 people found dead in a home in the city of Enoch today died by murder-suicide. 42-year-old Michael Haight is believed to have killed his wife, mother-in-law, 5 children, then himself 2 weeks after his wife filed for divorce. Each of those victims appeared to have gunshot wounds. The children were ages 4 through 17. Authorities visited that home in a welfare check after relatives and friends said they hadn't heard from the family. The mayor of that community visibly choked up discussing it.
The Haights were my neighbors. The youngest children played in my yard with my sons. Enoch City is a very close community.
That investigation still ongoing tonight.
Tomorrow marks 2 years since the attack on the U.S. Capitol. The search still underway for hundreds of rioters.
And January is Blood Donor Awareness Month in Ohio. Why donating is so important, especially right now.
Plus, tracking a few snow showers as well as a pretty chilly forecast that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
A new airline getting ready to take flight at Dayton International, Avelo Airlines, a cheaper alternative bringing more affordable flights to the area. Travelers can book nonstop flights from Dayton to Orlando, Florida, with prices starting at $49. Dayton International says seats are limited for upcoming flights, but officials hope the airline brings more revenue to the airport.
We've been told that the flight is nearly sold out, the first flight, so we're really excited about that. Their impacts could be, additional revenue for us parking, different additional revenue.
May I have your attention,
concessions
please?
At the
All
airport.
travelers.
The first flight is scheduled to take off on Friday the 13th around 4:15 in the afternoon.
The Senior Board of Education approving a plan to put an income tax levy back on the ballot. Back in November, a renewal levy failed by just one vote. Superintendent Dr. Gabriel Lofton says that operating levies provide critical funding to support day-to-day learning. The district has now approved the levy to go on the May 2nd ballot. So if passed, it would raise more than $4 million for the district.
Governor Mike DeWine vetoed a bill today that would have prevented cities from regulating flavored tobacco products. He and state leaders are calling on parts of the state to begin regulating or even banning these products.
We're dealing now with young people's lives. And when a local community wants to make the decision to ban these flavors to protect their children, we should applaud those decisions.
State leaders have said more than 30% of high school students across the state use some sort of flavored tobacco, and in middle school that number is triple. Columbus has already passed a ban on the sale of menthol and flavored tobacco products. Well, here's a live look over the downtown Dayton skyline from our Eco Plumber Skycam. If you look up at this time tomorrow, you have a chance to see the first full moon of the new year. Tim Boyd is in studio with us tonight. What can you tell us about all this, Tim?
Yeah, we do have a nice full moon coming for you tonight. Tomorrow night is actually going to be what we call a wolf moon. We have a whole slew of different moons over here: micro, super, hunter's moon, wolf, and pink moon. But tomorrow, wolf moon, where did it get this name? Originally, we thought wolves were just louder this time of year because they were hungrier and they were searching for food. But in fact, we know it's because they are defining their territory, locating their pack, and creating those special bonds with one another. And unlike a supermoon, tomorrow is actually going to be a micromoon. It's just the opposite of the supermoon. It just means that the moon is the furthest from the Earth. But now here in Dayton, we don't know that you'll be able to actually see this tomorrow unless we get a few breaks in the clouds. But as far as I last checked, it's going to be pretty cloudy, but Natalie Walters will have more on that.
Yeah, we are tracking some clouds in the forecast. Certainly cloudy out there right now. Not able to see the moon with some snow showers around for us. Some light snow making its way into the region. Bigger picture here, we have an area of low pressure just off to the north of us. So we got moisture wrapping around this system and that cold air, of course, allowing this precipitation to come down as some snowfall. Now, we did see some rain earlier into the day. We'll see some light flurries to some light snow showers overnight, starting out around 32 degrees, staying in the 30s with clouds pretty much all day tomorrow. It does look like we could see some clearing, some breaks in the clouds for the earlier part of the day on Saturday, but by Sunday we're tracking another storm system that will bring a rain and snow mix. This is depicting some snow showers by early Sunday morning, so we'll monitor for that. Nothing too significant for this weekend, but definitely Sunday, the wetter of the 2 days.
Natalie, thanks. Tomorrow marks 2 years since the attack on the U.S. Capitol. The assault was made by former President Trump's supporters in an attempt to stop the exchange of power. Rioters hurt several police officers and trashed the Capitol. Former officer Michael Fanone almost died that day.
The events of that day felt like a wake-up call for me and many others that political violence is real. The worst part is that our elected leaders allowed this to happen.
Now, hundreds of rioters have been identified and prosecuted, but still several hundred have not faced justice. Meanwhile, the House Select Committee investigating the assault pins the blame on former President Trump for frenzying his supporters. The Justice Department continues to investigate. And there's still an ongoing mystery related to the violence and chaos of the riots. The FBI is offering $500,000 for information leading to the arrest of this person who left 2 pipe bombs near the Capitol the day before the riot. Devices were found outside the Democratic National Committee and Republican National Committee headquarters. The bombs did not detonate. The FBI says the suspect may still pose a danger to the public. And again, the Department of Justice is still looking for about 350 people possibly involved in the attacks. Their data shows more than 950 people have been arrested for their alleged participation in the breach. More than 284 were charged with assault. 484 people have pleaded guilty and 40 were found guilty after their cases went to trial. One defendant has been acquitted of all charges. Now, the DOJ is also trying to prove that the president's plan to cancel student loan debt for millions of Americans is indeed legal. In a court filing, officials say it falls within the law. Several Republican-led states argue President Biden's plan is illegal and an abuse of authority. The Supreme Court justices are expected to hear arguments next month. Well, donating blood can save the life of someone in need, which is why Ohio and the nation recognizes January as Blood Donor Awareness Month. Melina Brown spoke with representatives who explained why donating is so important, especially right now.
Donate, save a life. That was the message today from donors to recipients to volunteers. Blood donations are used for a variety of needs, from emergency use to helping treat cancer patients. But unfortunately, there's not enough. Mark Pompilio tells me that they need 300 daily donors to keep up with the needs of the community. And on an average day, they only see 50 to 60 people.
Donate. If you're type O or B negative, definitely need your help, but we need all blood types to make sure that every type is on hand at every hospital at any time of emergency.
The American Red Cross will have another blood drive in the Dayton region on January 14th, and you can register on their website. Taking an hour out of your day to donate could save someone in need. For Dayton 24/7 Now News, I'm Melina Brown.
All right, here's a live look from our Troy traffic camera tonight. Beautiful night tonight in downtown Troy. It's cold. I mean, I don't know if I want to call it. I guess it depends on what makes you happy.
It was a pretty shot, yeah. It did look like maybe the roads were a little wet there.
Yeah, because we did have a little bit of rain earlier tonight.
Right, we had some rain. Now we have some light snow showers pushing through. And believe it or not, even with the rain that we saw here recently, we're still in a deficit. Taking a look at what we've seen so far for the season. So since December 1st, we're still at a deficit. We've seen just under 2 inches of rainfall. That puts us almost 2 inches behind for the season. So we still have drought conditions, moderate drought conditions for most of the area. They did end up trimming back our southeastern counties, but severe drought conditions for Wayne County, Indiana. We do have some rain, some precipitation in the forecast. Doesn't look like it's going to be a whole lot, but I'll have a look at that 7-day with the latest coming up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Ukraine receiving more military support from the U.S., the combat vehicle soon to deploy to the war-torn country. And President Biden hosting his first cabinet meeting of 2023, why he's optimistic about the upcoming year. You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now. The Mass for Pope Benedict XVI was held in St. Peter's Square this morning. Pope Francis presided over the funeral and tens of thousands were at the service. The former pontiff stepped down back in 2013 and stayed at a Vatican monastery after his retirement. He died December 31st. Pope Benedict XVI will be buried in the Vatican crypt in a tomb where John Paul II was buried before his canonization.
President Biden hosting his first cabinet meeting of the year today. Leaders discussing a range of topics, both domestic and global. The president says he's optimistic about the upcoming year, highlighted legislative accomplishments from the administration like the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the CHIPS and Science Act. Meanwhile, overseas, he says the war in Ukraine is at a critical point.
We have to do everything we can to help the Ukrainians resist Russian aggression, and Russia is not attempting to slow up. The actions they're taking are as barbaric as they were a year ago. And they're not letting up at all.
Now, one of the topics discussed during the meeting was the news released earlier today that Ukraine is getting more military support from the U.S. It's coming in the form of Bradley fighting vehicles. The medium-sized armored combat vehicle can serve as a troop carrier. It has tracks rather than wheels, but it's more agile than a tank. The Bradley can also move ammunition and other battlefield equipment.
Providing a level of firepower and armor that will bring advantages on the battlefield as Ukraine continues to defend their homeland.
Now, this comes after U.S. and Ukrainian leaders questioned a temporary Russian ceasefire. The U.S. Army still uses Bradleys, but the military is looking to phase them out. Last month, the U.S. announced that it will send Ukraine a Patriot missile battery to boost air defenses against Russia.
Well, everyone's favorite time of year has finally come. Girl Scout cookie season. Coming up, the new flavors and when you can get a box.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Well, it's that time of year. Starting tomorrow, Girl Scouts in your neighborhood will be ready to sell you their iconic Girl Scout cookies. Girl Scout pop-up shops will begin to appear on February 17th in front of supporting businesses. There are 10 cookies being offered this year. They're the classics like Samoas, Tagalongs, Thin Mints, and Lemon Ups, as well as some newer fun flavors like S'mores and Toffee-tastic. And this year, there's also a digital exclusive called Raspberry Rally. This batch of cookies will be sold until March 19th.
Well, speaking of fun, take a look at this, Megan. The Cincinnati Zoo taking to Twitter, announcing the first zoo baby of 2023, 9-year-old Isla, a type of anteater, giving birth today to this little baby. Zookeepers don't know yet if the pup is male or female. No word if keepers have a name in mind or if they'll ask the public for suggestions. Either way, very adorable way to start the day.
Megan thinks it's absolutely adorable. And we have some chilly weather in the forecast as we head into these next several days. 30s for tomorrow, upper 30s on our Saturday. We do climb into the 40s as we